Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal Daly and I'm a beauty and brains coach. So this question came from one of my students. Currently we are in the midst of the corona pandemic, better known as COVID-19. So all the cosmetology schools around the United States are closed. So I have all this free time in my hands, and I'm sure as a fellow student, you have a ton of free time on your hands. So what a better time to make this video. So if you're studying, you want to brush up on your skills, you don't want to fall behind, this video will give you some tips and tricks on how to study. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you have a friend in cosmetology school or thinking about cosmetology school, send him or her my link so we can link. I sound like an old lady. But all right, that's what this video is about. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Boom. So first thing, you need to figure out how you learn. So when I say how you learn, how do you, not so much like who's your favorite teacher or which teacher teaches the best for you, because every instructor is not going to teach how you learn. But when I say how you learn, how do you like retain information and how do you recall information? So are you the person that like can hear a song and then know the song word for word once it's done? Are you the type of person that can maybe drive to a location for the first time and just always remember how to get there? You don't need a map, you don't need directions. Are you a person who can just like understand like math really well in your brain? Based on those answers, there's all kind of tests and there's all kind of studies done on different ways we like to retain and recall information. So when I say retain information, how do you store that information in your brain? So when an instructor is in front of you or a teacher's in front of you teaching, do you work really well with taking notes? Do you work really well just listening to the lecture? Do you need pictures? Do you need to play with that information, like physically get up and do something with that information for it to stick? Only you are gonna know that. Once you figure out how you retain information, then you're going to figure out how do you recall information. So if someone asks you, hey, what's your mom's phone number? Can you just spit it out? Do you physically like see the numbers paint out in your head? Do you have to draw it on a piece of paper for those numbers to come up? Do you have to pick up your phone and like fake dial the number? So all those different things are like indicators on like, okay, this is how this person retains and recalls information. If you have completed schooling, like just regular mandatory schooling, you kind of already have an idea how you don't like to learn. So I'm not like an outline girl. Like I can never sit down with a book and like make an outline. You know what I mean? That's someone that's very verbal linguistic. That's someone who really enjoys reading, really enjoys writing. That works, but that's how like 70-80% of our education system is set up for. And a lot of hairdressers aren't like that. Hairdressers, we get in trouble for the way we learn. You know, we doodle in our books because that just helps that information stick a bit better. We need to get up and walk around. So you just gotta have to figure out how you learn again. So secondly, you wanna make sure that you play with that information at least 3 times. So when I say play with that information 3 times, when you sit in class and that teacher is reading to you or lecturing you or teaching you this information, that's only 1 time. That's usually not enough for it to like stick in your brain, especially if you're not really engaged that entire time. Like, so you're sort of there, maybe you're like on Instagram or texting. So you're gonna have to go home and jump in that information a little bit more. When I say play with it 3 times, you have to expose yourself to it 3 times. So maybe it's reading a chapter before you go to class, sitting in class, and then taking a review test. Maybe it's taking like a sample test before you go into the class to see like how much do you need to pay attention. Is this like a review for you? Are you comfortable with this information? Maybe it's going on a platform like Quizlet or Kahoot and testing that information. And I'll leave those links below. This is not endorsed by any means. I just know the platforms that my students enjoy and the platforms that I've used in the past. Even if you just old school it, you go to class, you get the information from your teacher, maybe you have like a little quiz book, you just quiz yourself with that book, and then maybe right before your test you quiz yourself again. But you have to play with this information multiple times. when you get it in class, you get it in class and then you leave it alone. Put it down, don't think about it. And then when you go home, get 20 quiet minutes to yourself. And for those 20 quiet minutes to yourself, I want you just to kind of like review all the information that you learned. Like kind of skim over your notes, skim over the book, or skim over like kind of whatever you went through to make sure that like, okay, I feel really good about this. I remember she said that, and that just further like packs it away in your brain. So when it's time to recall it, it's easier to recall because you neatly packed it away in your brain, if that makes sense. My analogies are crazy. Okay, so studying. So I don't know where this came from, but maybe like high school, middle school, elementary school, college, like cramming is not a thing. In 2020, cramming is not a thing. When I say cramming is not a thing, if you're sitting down with a book longer than an hour, 2 hours, it is because you did not do the preliminary work. So when I say you did not do the preliminary work, like you waited to the last minute to think you could study for an hour or two for a test. If that works for you, great. Good luck with things. I've just seen in the past, like it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the long term. So if you are in cosmetology school, you probably have a test once a week, maybe 2 tests a week. In these little tests that they're giving you, at the end of your program, you're gonna have to go to wherever you do your statewide testing at, and you're gonna have to take a theory exam. In this theory exam, they're going to be testing you on all the information that you've been tested on for the past year or two. So if you only cram to get that information to like get it for that test or get it for that night, you are going to struggle at the end of your program. The goal is for us to really know the information and not just to like cram it for a test. I hope that is making a lot of sense. So that being said, we study for 20 minutes and then we take 5-minute brain breaks. So let me explain my whole brain breaking method to you. If you are always thinking about your phone or you're always easily distracted, then this method is definitely for you. I feel like this method is for everybody, but the time frames that I'm giving you, this 20 on, 5 off, 20 on, 5 off, is more of someone who doesn't have a problem with focusing. So, or as you build that skill up, that will be like your goal, 25, 25. Now, if you find yourself being someone who struggles with focusing, struggles with sitting still, struggles with reading, so you can break that time up in a shorter amount of time spans. So I've had students in the past where you would study for 5 minutes and then I would give you a 2-minute brain break. And at first it sounds silly, like study for 5 minutes, like what can you get done in 5 minutes? But what begins to happen is you realize you don't need that brain break every 5 minutes. So you start to push yourself and want to go longer. So I've had students where it's like, Crystal, I really don't need a brain break right now. I want to knock this out. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, when you're ready for your brain break, take your brain break. And someone who could not focus and could not study, once they found their momentum and once they felt comfortable and once they understood like the way they learned, then it wasn't so overwhelming and it wasn't so challenging. So then at that point they were able to go longer. They were able to go 10 minutes on and then 2 minutes off, and so they were able to extend it up to 20 or 5. You have to figure out what works for you. Maybe it's 20 on, 10 off. Like, you have to figure out what works for you. So I'm all on board with studying with music. My suggestion is that it's music without words. I have watched students, so I've been in class and my students, I'm like teaching and they're taking notes and they're really engaged and they've been asking questions, and these are really, really good students. And then we'll have like a really cool song playing on our salon floor, our clinic floor. And I will watch my students as they listen to me and jot notes, they will begin to bop their heads and they will begin to sing the songs. The brain is a crazy place. The brain is so smart. The brain is so smart to the point where it can take your attention away from something you want to pay attention to take in what is happening behind you. If we were in a jungle and you were listening, I don't know, to whatever, you were listening to the rainfall and there was a cheetah behind you, your brain is going to pick that up. So our brains still do that. Our brains still do that to the point where you are studying, you are really focused, like you've been taking your brain breaks, you're ready to go, but because you are listening to the baby or somebody, like, you cannot focus. You cannot focus because subliminally, subliminally, I think that's how you say it, you are singing word for word this song. So you need to find songs that just not have words in it. So when I say songs with music without words, it could be instrumentals, it could be jazz music, it could be electronic music, it could be like trap beats, as long as you're not gonna sing them. Like Cardi B, it's not time for her. It's not, and then it can't be too loud. There's a certain like threshold where your brain is like, I'm fully focused on this music, to where your brain is like, oh, this is like nice background music to help this stuff stick a bit better. And then my last tip and trick for the day is to make connections. So you can there's multiple ways to make connections, but let me explain making connections. The easiest way to retain new information is by connecting it to information you already know. So if you ever think about learning any skill, whether it's like riding a bike or roller skating or something that just seemed really, really difficult, cooking. I always use cooking as an example. So if you know how to cook, you're going to understand this. There was a point in time where you did not know how to cook. There was a point in time where like you had like 2 or 3 signature meals, and that was that. Like that was that, and that was that, right? But the more you cooked different foods and the more you exposed yourself to different options, cooking and baking became easier to you. Like once you know how to fry chicken, you kind of already know how to fry a pork chop. Once you already know how to cook salmon, you kind of already know how to cook snapper. Like, they just kind of all go together. Well, the same is true for cosmetology. Cosmetology connects with a bunch of different industries. So if you've ever had an anatomy course, if you took something in painting or design, you'll notice that all these concepts kind of blend. So now it's an opportunity for when you learn new information to connect it with something that you already know. That's one way of making connections. Another way of making connections is by using like analogies or little goofy sayings that help you think of things. So my students always laugh at me about scoop the soup and protect the soup. So when you rotate your hand over or open your palm upward, that is supinate. And when you rotate your hand over, that is pronate. So imagine you having a cup of soup. We're on a bus with a cup of soup. This is me making my connection. On a bus, cup of soup. Oh my God, someone is sneezing. They have the corona. Achoo. What do I need to do? I need to protect my soup. I need to pronate. So pronate, protect the soup. P, pronate, palm over. Okay, I get that. Now, if we was on the same bus and I was like, oh man, I don't have a spoon. How am I going to get this soup out? I need to supinate so I can scoop the soup. Now that sounds so silly and that sounds so goofy. And if you are blessed enough to have a teacher that says little goofy, silly things to help you remember things, then God bless her, because that is how you make this connection. Analogies, we talked about little goofy sayings, mnemonics. So when we think about the layers of the epidermis, come let's get sunburned, so we know that's our corneum. Come let's lucidum get granulosum. Come let's get sun spinosum burning. That's your basal cell layer, or your stratum germinativum. So again, these are little tips and tricks to help you permanently tattoo this information on your brain, so when you are at Stateboard, you don't have to like, oh my God, what did my teacher say? So I hope these tips and tricks helped you with like how to study. Everybody stay safe. I am going to record a video on how to stay safe in a salon during this pandemic. Although salons have been closed in my state, I know there are some states out there where salons are not closed. And then even after this pandemic is over, I think infection control is something we can definitely tighten up on it a bit more. There's a lot of misinformation, and I just want to clarify and make sure that individuals are all on the same page. So until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.